I started snowboarding around 14 years ago when I was 10 years old. And I was a daredevil, so I would go down the backcountry trails and I would hit a lot of rocks and sticks. And so I ended up getting a lot of scratches and gouges in my board. So I was bringing my snowboard to the board shop probably about every couple weeks because I would go snowboarding every week. And so as it was starting to add up to close to about $300 a year. And so I decided I needed to change that, and I went to MC Sports and I picked up a wax kit and a repair kit, and I watched some YouTube videos and learned how to wax a snowboard myself. And that has saved me a lot of money throughout the years. And today I want to teach you how to do it. I know a lot of people in this class probably do not snowboard, but it is definitely a good sport to get into. It is a lot of exercise, even though you're just riding down a hill. You have to carve, and you're very tired after you're done snowboarding if you actually do it right, if you go down big hills or slopes. And it is just a really fun winter sport to get into. So if you ever wanted to try it, I would definitely encourage it. So to wax a snowboard, the things that you're going to need is first water to spray down the board, because you want to get the dirt out of these cracks. And then you want a rag to wipe the dirt out. The next thing you're going to need is iron. This shouldn't be your mom's iron or the iron you use to iron your clothes, because that will ruin it. If you use it for this, you're only going to be able to use it for snowboarding, because then you're going to have wax stuck to it and it's just not going to be good. And you're also going to need a scraper to scrape the wax off when you're done, and a pad to wipe this down. I forgot the most important part, the wax. The wax is what actually goes into these cracks and makes your board go faster and makes your board surface cleaner. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is spray down the board with water. Next, get your rag and just wipe down the board. Just try and get as much dirt out of there as possible. And once that's done, you're going to get the iron. And I already preheated it, so make sure, it takes a while for these things to heat up. So make sure that it's really hot by the time you start using wax, else this wax isn't going to melt. And you're going to want to put the wax to the iron and melt it. And just go along the whole board. And just put spots all over the board. Like, make sure you don't miss like a piece, else your board isn't going to be waxed fully. So once that's done, you are going to take this iron again, and you're going to start to spread this wax around, because right now I only dripped it in the middle because I didn't want it falling off the edges of the board. But you're going to want to spread this wax around and try and like push the wax to the edges, because the edges are going to be the ones that are the spot on the board that's going to be missed the most. And once that's done, you're going to normally want to wait at least 10 minutes for that to dry. But for the sake of this video, it'll just be easier if I start scraping the board right now. So you're going to take your scraper, and there's this little divot right here. And this divot is made to go along the edge of the board. I didn't get too good on the edges. I didn't get the wax on the edges that good because I was in a hurry. But normally you'd be taking a lot of it off right now. I'm getting a little bit. But you want to do all sides of the board. And then after you're done with that, you want to take this again, and you want to get the surface of the board. So you're going to start in one fluid motion, and you're going to just bring this scraper across the board. And you can see I'm getting a lot of wax. And you just want to keep going all the way down the board and get as much wax off as possible, because there's no point in leaving wax on. It'll actually make you go slower. The wax that actually matters is already in these cracks, and so you can scrape as hard as you want. It won't matter. You just want to take out as much wax as you can. So you can see I got a ton of wax, but I don't have a trash can. So I'm just throwing it over there for now. I should have had a trash can because it's turning into kind of a mess. So just wipe the board off with a rag. And now the final step is to buff the board. And you're going to want a rag like this. Usually it's better to have a brush, but I don't have a brush, so I'm just going to use this rag. You're going to go in one fluid motion, just like with the scraper. And you're going to scrape across the board to get any wax that's still stuck on it off the board. So just to go over my 4 points, or the 5 steps that I did. The first thing I did was take this water and this rag and get as much dirt out as possible. The next step I did was take this iron, take this wax, drip it along the whole board, and then use the iron to get the wax into the board, to melt it into the board. The next step was to scrape it. You first go along the edges of the board, and then you scrape in one fluid motion across the surface of the board. And the last step I did was use this rag just to buff it out a little bit. So if you've ever wanted to get into snowboarding, if you ever wanted to try snowboarding, I would definitely encourage it, because it just is a fun sport, like I said, to do in the winter. And this is a good way to save some money if you do get into snowboarding, because this maintenance does cost a lot, and if you can do it yourself, you'll save a lot of money. And you'll save probably $100 to $200 over the course of a year. So that is how to wax a snowboard.